The first time I saw my trash rearranged, I thought maybe I was still dreaming. Banana peels lined up like yellow ribbons, chicken bones stacked into a little shrine. That's when it hit me. Someone had been here, and they wanted me to notice. It was late September, midterm season. I was running on Red Bull and vending machine snacks. My apartment sat on the edge of campus, one of those half-rotted rentals, with slanted floors and a porch that felt like it might collapse if you sneezed too hard. One morning, dragging my garbage bag to the curb, I noticed something odd. The banana peels inside weren't tossed the way I left them. They'd been smoothed flat, laid end to end like yellow ribbons, chicken bones picked clean, stacked into a little triangle, like a kid's craft project. I stared at it too long, told myself it was raccoons, or maybe the neighbor's cat. Still, the order of it lingered in my mind. As I walked back inside, it happened again. This time it wasn't just trash. There was a scrap of notebook paper lying on top of the pile. The handwriting was shaky, letters too tall and thin. More, please. I laughed nervously, even said it out loud like an idiot. Very funny, but my chest felt tight. By the third night, I couldn't take it. I set up my cheap webcam in the kitchen window, facing the porch and the trash cans. I hit record and tried to sleep, though sleep didn't really come. At 3 a.m., I gave in and checked the footage. Something crawled out from under the porch. Not an animal. A figure, pale, spindly, elbows sharp like hinges, its head tilted too far to the side, hair hanging in thin strands. It pulled open the bag with slow, careful hands and began to eat, not like a raccoon would. No tearing or thrashing, just deliberate. And then it looked up. The figure's face filled the camera frame, white skin too smooth. The eyes were wide, unblinking, fixed straight at me. It stayed that way for 2 hours, never moved, never blinked, just stared. I shut the laptop with shaking hands and sat there in the dark, whispering to myself, nope, that didn't happen. Morning came, pale sunlight slipping through the blinds. For a second, I convinced myself it was just stress, hallucinations from lack of sleep. Then I saw it, on my pillow, right next to my head. A note, "You saw me." I didn't scream, couldn't. My body froze, throat locked up, my mind spun in circles. I checked every door, every window. All were locked. Somehow that made it worse. I told Zach, my roommate. He laughed at first, then saw my face. Man, that's messed up. Maybe it's a prank, some psycho neighbor. Who crawls under a porch just to eat trash? I snapped. He had no answer. That night, Zach stayed up with me. We waited in the dark, lights off, both clutching baseball bats. But nothing happened. No scratching, no movement, just silence. So heavy it made my ears ring. At dawn, Zach fell asleep on the couch. I crept upstairs, exhausted, and collapsed on my bed. When I woke, Zach was gone. His shoes were still by the door. His phone lay on the counter, buzzing with missed calls. I found the trash bag outside. The bones were gone. In their place, a new note. Good friend, tasty. I didn't go to class. Didn't eat. Just sat there staring at that note until the words blurred. My chest felt hollow. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. That night I locked every door, shoved furniture against the windows, but part of me knew it didn't matter. At 2:47 a.m. I heard the crawl space creak. Slow, deliberate movements, nails scratching wood. I didn't check the camera this time. I couldn't. Instead, I waited in my room, staring at the shadows on the wall, until I felt the white shift on my mattress. The smell hit me first, damp earth and spoiled fruit. A hand, cold and thin, slid across my blanket, a whisper close to my ear. More, please. I don't remember what happened after that. Maybe I screamed. Maybe I didn't. All I know is when the sun came up, my bed was empty. The trash can was filled again. Peels, bones, wrappers, all neatly arranged. And on top of the pile, A final note, thank you. But when I looked closer, my stomach dropped. The handwriting wasn't the same. It was mine. People think hotel lobbies are dead after midnight. They're wrong. At 3 a.m., silence isn't silence. It's a pressure. Every creak in the walls, every click of the elevator, it crawls inside your head. That's why the first time the phone rang from room 616, I almost jumped out of my chair. "Front desk," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Static, a low hiss, broken by a ragged breath, then a whisper, stretched and thin. "Help me." I sat up straighter, the receiver slick in my hand. "Hello, sir, ma'am, what's wrong?" The line went dead. I stared at the phone for a long minute, the glow of the lobby chandelier painting long shadows across the carpet. Room 616 had been sealed for months. A guest disappeared there last spring. Police tape, news vans, a cleaning crew that walked out mid-shift because they couldn't stand the smell. Management locked the door and told us never to mention it again. So why was I getting a call? An hour passed. My nerves settled. I convinced myself it was a crossed line, some glitch in the switchboard. Then the phone rang again. Same number. 616. "Front desk," I whispered. This time the voice was clearer, a man's voice. Urgent. "Please, please don't let me stay here. It's wrong. It's not." The words cut off. A sound followed. Heavy breathing right against the receiver, like someone leaning too close to the mic. I slammed the phone down. My pulse was hammering. I checked the cameras. The feed outside 616 showed nothing. Just a dim hallway, carpet the color of dried blood, lamps buzzing faintly. The door was shut. Dust filmed the handle. But while I was watching, the line light on the switchboard lit up again. 616 was calling. I didn't pick up. Not that time. By 4 a.m. I couldn't take it anymore. I called my manager, waking him up. "Don't answer it," he said flatly. His voice had no hesitation. "If it happens again, just let it ring. That's the rule." "What rule?" I asked. But he'd already hung up. At 4:37, the ringing started again. It went on, filling the lobby with its sharp, metallic scream. My skin itched with it. Finally, I snapped. I grabbed the master key from the desk, muttering to myself, "Screw the rule, screw it." The elevator ride up felt like an execution. The hum of the motor was too loud, the air too stale. My own reflection in the brass doors looked pale and guilty. When I reached the 6th floor, the hallway stretched ahead, long and empty. The carpet muffled my footsteps. Every lamp I passed buzzed harder than the last, until the noise was a swarm in my ears. Room 616 waited at the end. The door sealed with a bolt. The key slid in too easily. The bolt clicked back. I pushed the door open and froze. The room was untouched. Bed made, curtains drawn, air stale with the faint scent of mildew. It was exactly as the cleaners had left it after the disappearance, except for one thing. On the bed lay a phone. The cord trailed to the wall. Though I knew the line had been cut months ago, the receiver was off the hook, and from it came a sound. My voice. "Front desk," I heard, tinny and faint. Then the call I'd made earlier, every word, every panic in my tone playing back in real time. I lifted the receiver with trembling hands. The static filled my ear, then the sound of my own breathing, and then another voice, low, whispering right beneath mine. "Don't answer next time." The phone slipped from my hand and hit the carpet. The line went dead. I backed out of the room, heart pounding so loud it hurt. I didn't lock the door. I couldn't. Back at the desk, the switchboard light for 616 was still glowing. Not ringing, just glowing, waiting. And now every night since, I sit here and watch that light. Sometimes it flickers, sometimes it hums. I never answer anymore, but I wonder every time if someone else will, because if that voice was mine, then who's on the other end? I should have turned around the moment I saw the place. That's the truth. But when you're broke and a client promises cash for a single afternoon's work, you talk yourself into things you shouldn't. The house sat on a lonely stretch of road outside town, a Victorian beast with broken shutters and vines crawling up its sides like veins. Even from the driveway, I could see the windows glinting in the weak light. Too many windows, and behind them mirrors. The seller's note was short. Property must be documented for listing. Interior shots required. Use front key. Payment on delivery. No phone number. No name. Inside, the air was thick with dust and something sour. The floorboards groaned like they hadn't been stepped on in years. I unpacked my camera, telling myself it was just another gig. A creepy house, sure, but empty. That's what mattered. Except it didn't feel empty. Every hallway I walked had mirrors, huge gilt frames, cloudy glass, some cracked down the middle. They leaned against walls, hung crooked, even stood in corners where no mirror belonged. I snapped the first photo. The shutter clicked, the flash burst, and when I checked the screen, the reflection showed a figure in the doorway behind me. A woman, gray dress, face blurred. I turned fast. Nothing there. Just the hollow house breathing through its drafty bones. I told myself it was the trick of the light, a dusty lens, old glass doing strange things, but it kept happening. Click. A man in a suit and bowler hat, staring at me from the mirror above the fireplace. Click. A child crouched in the corner, mouth open in a silent scream. Click. A hallway mirror showing a completely different room, one I hadn't seen in the house at all. Bright, furnished, alive. My hands started to shake. I muttered to myself, glitches, just glitches. Even though I knew cameras don't invent people out of nowhere. I moved upstairs. The mirrors here were worse, lined up along the hall like judges. I avoided looking at them directly, kept my eyes on the camera. In the master bedroom, I found a high-backed chair, sitting in front of a tall, freestanding mirror, the kind you'd expect in an old tailor's shop. I lifted the camera, hesitated, then clicked. My stomach dropped. On the screen, the chair wasn't empty. I was in it. Not me standing with the camera. Not me in the room. But me slumped in the chair, head tilted forward, eyes black pits in a gray face. I backed away so fast I tripped against the door frame. The real chair sat there empty, the mirror reflecting nothing unusual, but the photo in my hands didn't change. That broke me. I stuffed the camera in my bag, bolted down the stairs, nearly tore the front door off its hinges. Outside, the sky had darkened, though I couldn't tell if it was late or if storm clouds had rolled in. I didn't care. I left the house standing behind me like a rotten tooth in the landscape. Driving home, I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the woman, the man, the child, or the thing that looked like me. I got back to my apartment, locked the door, dropped the camera on the counter. My chest hurt from how hard I'd been holding my breath. The bag felt heavier than it should, like the photos themselves had weight. I told myself I wouldn't look, that I'd delete them, wipe the card, forget the whole thing. But of course I did. One by one I clicked through the images. The woman, the man, the child, the strange room, the version of me slumped in the chair, and then the last shot, one I hadn't taken. It showed my own hallway, my apartment, and leaning against the wall was the tall, freestanding mirror from the house. I heard it before I saw it, a soft scrape, wood against wood. I turned my head toward the hallway, and there it was, the mirror, standing exactly where the photo had shown it, gilt frame glowing faintly in the dark. My reflection stared back, but not quite right. The mouth twitched. The eyes seemed too deep, too black, and slowly, the reflection leaned forward, pressing its hand against the glass from the other side. I don't remember dropping the camera, but I must have, because the sound of it shattering snapped me back. I stumbled backward, whispering, "No, no, no, no." The mirror stood silent. My reflection waited, and now every time I pass that hallway, I swear I see it breathe. The seller never paid me. I never asked, because I think the house knew what it was doing. It didn't want pictures. It wanted to send something home.